Me tell you something. Most men never hear your feelings are not always telling you the truth. Sometimes your emotions lie to you. Fear tells you to quit. Doubt tells you you are not enough. Pain tells you to give up. Laziness tells you to wait until tomorrow, and weakness always sounds comfortable. That is why emotional men stay stuck, because they obey every feeling. They wake up and ask, how do I feel today? Wrong question. Winners ask, what must be done today? Whether they feel good or bad, whether they are motivated or exhausted, whether life is fair or unfair, they move anyway. That is discipline, is doing what needs to be done, even when emotions are fighting against you. And understand this clearly, you will never build a powerful life with inconsistent behavior. 1 day focused, 3 days distracted, 1 week motivated, 1 month lazy, 1 moment confident, next moment emotional. That cycle destroys potential. Most men are not failing because they lack talent. They are failing because they lack emotional stability. Their mood controls their effort, their emotions control their consistency, their desires control their future. And every time a man becomes controlled by emotion, he becomes weak, because emotions change constantly. But principles do not. Standards do not. Purpose does not. A disciplined man follows principles, not temporary feelings. That is why he becomes reliable, respected, trusted. Dangerous. You cannot trust emotional men under pressure. They panic too quickly, they break too easily, they run too fast. The moment life gets difficult, they disappear. But strong men remain steady, even during chaos, even during heartbreak, even during loneliness. And yes, loneliness is part of becoming stronger, because growth requires separation. You cannot evolve while staying addicted to noise. Sometimes God isolates a man to rebuild him, to teach him discipline, focus, clarity, strength. But weak men fear silence, because silence forces self-reflection, and many men do not like what they see inside themselves. No purpose, no control, no direction, no discipline, just distraction. That is why they keep running toward entertainment, toward pleasure, toward attention, anything to avoid facing themselves. But growth begins the moment a man sits alone and tells himself the truth. No more excuses, no more blaming, no more emotional weakness. That moment changes everything, because accountability creates power and excuses destroy it. You say life is hard. Good life is supposed to be hard. Hardship, man. Pressure creates strength. Responsibility creates maturity. Pain creates wisdom. Stop asking for an easier life. Become stronger instead. That is the mindset of powerful men. Every difficult moment becomes training. Every setback becomes fuel. Every rejection becomes motivation. Every failure becomes education. That is emotional intelligence, using pain for growth instead of using pain as an excuse. Most men waste suffering. They suffer and learn nothing. They repeat the same mistakes, repeat the same emotional patterns, repeat the same weak behaviors year after year. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Nothing changes. Because they refuse to change themselves. You cannot heal your life while protecting your weakness. You must confront it, destroy it, replace it with discipline. That is the process. And yes, it is uncomfortable, because transformation is painful. Growth hurts, discipline hurts, self-control hurts. But avoidance creates suffering later. Everything avoided grows stronger. Ignored fear. Weakness grows ignored. Weakness grows ignored. Problems grow ignored. Emotions grow. That is why disciplined men confront things early. They do not wait for disaster. They attack problems directly, because mature men understand this. Temporary discomfort prevents permanent destruction. A difficult conversation now can save years of pain. Later, a disciplined decision now can save your future. Later, a sacrifice now can create freedom. Later, weak men think short-term, strong men think long-term. That difference changes everything. Weak men choose pleasure today and suffer tomorrow. Strong men accept struggle today and gain freedom tomorrow. One mindset creates regret, the other creates legacy, and every man is choosing daily whether he realizes it or not. You are either building yourself or destroying yourself. There is no neutral way of. Every habit matters, every environment matters, every person around you matters because energy spreads, weakness spreads, excuses spread, laziness spreads, but discipline spreads too, focus spreads too, standards spread too. That is why your environment matters. If you surround yourself with weak people, eventually weakness feels normal, complaining feels normal, mediocrity feels normal, distraction feels normal, excuses feel normal, and slowly your standards die. That is dangerous because once standards die, potential dies. Two great men protect their standards aggressively. They are careful about what they consume, careful about who they listen to, careful about where they spend energy because attention is valuable and modern society is fighting for your attention. Every second, phones, notifications, entertainment, drama, social media, all competing to control your mind. And weak men surrender. Immediately, hours wasted scrolling, watching others live while doing nothing with their own lives. That addiction is dangerous because distraction feels harmless until years disappear. One day becomes 1 week, 1 week becomes 1 year, and suddenly your dreams feel far away. Not because they were far away, not because they were impossible, but because you lacked focus. Focus is a superpower. Now, a focused man becomes unstoppable because most people cannot focus anymore. They are mentally fragmented, emotionally unstable, constantly distracted, constantly stimulated, constantly reacting. But the disciplined man stays centered. He controls his attention, and where attention goes, energy flows. That is why successful men protect focus like their life depends on it, because it does. Your future depends on what you consistently focus on: fear or growth, excuses or discipline, pleasure or purpose, weakness or strength. You choose daily. Even when you think you are not choosing, you are. And listen carefully. The world respects men who control themselves, not men who complain constantly, not men who seek pity, not men who collapse emotionally under pressure. Self-control earns respect because it signals strength. The ability to remain calm under pressure is rare. The ability to stay disciplined when nobody is watching is rare. The ability to keep going through pain is rare. That rarity creates value. That is why disciplined men rise while emotional men stay trapped in cycle. The cycle of starting and quitting, the cycle of motivation and need, the cycle of excuses and regret, the cycle of dreaming without execution. That cycle destroys lives, and the painful part is this: most men know exactly what they need to do. They simply refuse to do it consistently. That is emotional weakness, choosing comfort over growth repeatedly. You already know the truth. Wake up earlier, work harder, train your body, control your mind. Stop chasing distractions, stop wasting time, stop feeding weakness, stop lying to yourself. The answers are not complicated. Execution is the hard part because execution requires discipline, and discipline requires sacrifice. You cannot keep old habits and expect a new life. Transformation demands change, real change, not temporary motivation, not emotional promises, real daily discipline. That is what creates powerful men, and understand this clearly. Nobody cares about your potential. The world rewards results. Potential means nothing without execution. A talented, undisciplined man will always lose to a disciplined average man because consistency beats talent. When talent lacks control, that truth frustrates emotional people because emotional people want shortcuts, but there are no shortcuts to throw. Greatness, everything valuable has a price. Strength has a price. Respect has a price. Peace has a price. Confidence has a price. And the price is discipline, daily discipline, silent discipline, unseen discipline. The kind nobody applauds at first, but eventually the results become impossible to ignore. And when your results finally speak, you will no longer need validation because your life itself will become proof of growth, transformation, proof that emotional weakness no longer controls you, proof that emotional weakness no longer controls you. And that is the moment. Your entire life changes not when money arrives, not when fame arrives, not when people finally notice you. Your life changes the moment you gain control over yourself, because self-mastery changes everything. A man who controls himself can build anything. A man who cannot control himself eventually destroys everything. It does not matter how talented he is. how intelligent he is, how gifted he is. Without self-control, success becomes dangerous because power amplifies character. If a weak man gains power, his weakness becomes more visible. If an undisciplined man, his bad habits grow faster. If an emotional man gains influence, his chaos spreads wider. That is why character matters more than appearance, and sadly, modern society teaches appearance over character. Look successful instead of becoming disciplined. Look confident instead of becoming reliable. Look powerful instead of building full inner strength. Everything has become performance, but real strength cannot be faked for long. Eventually, pressure exposes everybody. Pressure reveals discipline. Pressure reveals emotional stability. Pressure reveals integrity, and life applies pressure to every man. Eventually, that is guaranteed. Will be moments where you feel exhausted, moments where people betray you, moments where your heart breaks, moments where your plans collapse, moments where loneliness becomes heavy. And in those moments, your habits will either save you or destroy you. That is why discipline matters before crisis happens. You do not prepare during the storm, you prepare before the storm arrives. Weak men wait until life falls apart to change. Strong men prepare early, they train their minds, daily train their bodies, daily train their emotions, daily, because they understand hard times are coming eventually. And when difficulty comes, discipline becomes protection. A disciplined mind does not panic easily. A disciplined body does not quit easily. A disciplined spirit does not collapse easily. That is why disciplined men survive seasons that destroy others. Not because they avoid pain, but because pain trained them. Already listen carefully. Everything in your life is training you. Every failure, every rejection, every lonely season, every difficult morning, every sacrifice, every setback, every painful lesson. It is all training. The question is, are you becoming bitter or becoming stronger? Because pain gives options. Weak men become bitter, strong men become wiser. Weak men blame the world, strong men improve themselves. Weak men ask, why is life unfair? Strong men ask, how can I grow through this? That mentality creates power because your mindset shapes your reality. If you see yourself as power, you behave powerlessly. If you constantly focus on weakness, you strengthen weakness. If you constantly feed fear, fear grows. But if you train discipline, daily discipline grows too. The mind follows repetition. That is why habits matter more than emotions. Repeated thoughts become beliefs. Repeated actions become identity. Repeated discipline becomes character, and character becomes destiny. So understand this deeply. You are becoming something every single day. Even now, you are either becoming mentally stronger or mentally weaker. There is no standing still. Every decision moves you in a direction. Every excuse shapes identity. Every act of discipline shapes identity too. That is why powerful men protect their routines, because routines shape destiny. People laugh at discipline until they see the results. Then suddenly they call it talent. No, it was repetition, daily repetition, quiet repetition, boring repetition that created greatness. Most people never become exceptional because they are addicted to excitement, but mastery is repetitive. Success is repetitive. Growth is repetitive. The gym, the studying, the early mornings, the sacrifice, the consistency, over and over again, long before applause arrives. That is why emotionally weak people struggle with success, because they need constant stimulation, constant motivation, constant rewards. But discipline works without applause, without validation, without recognition. That is true maturity, doing what must be done even when nobody notices, even when nobody claps, even when progress feels invisible, because mature men understand something important. Small actions compound over time. One disciplined day changes nothing immediately, but one disciplined year changes everything. One workout changes little, but years of training transform a body. One focused day changes little, but years of focus transform a future. One good decision may seem small, but repeated daily, it changes destiny. That is why consistency matters more than intensity. Anybody can feel motivated temporarily. Anybody can act disciplined for 1 week, but emotionally strong men remain consistent. Especially when emotions disappear, that is rare, and rarity creates value. The world is full of people who start few, finish. Few stay disciplined, few stay loyal to purpose, few stay focused through hardship. That is why greatness is rare, not because greatness is impossible, but because consistency is difficult. Most men quit too early, right before growth happens, right before results appear, right before transformation begins, because growth feels uncomfortable at first. Your old self fights back, your habits resist. Change, your emotions resist discipline, and many men surrender during that battle. That is why most people stay average habits, average thinking, average discipline. Average courage, average lives, but you were not born to stay average. There is more inside you, more discipline, more strength, more leadership, more courage, more control, but potential means nothing without action. You must activate it daily, not emotionally, not occasionally, daily. That is the difference between dreamers and builders. Dreamers talk, builders execute. Dreamers wait for perfect conditions. Builders move through imperfect conditions. Dreamers become emotional when life gets hard. Builders adapt, adjust, continue. That persistence creates greatness. And hear this carefully: your future family depends on your discipline. Your future children depend on your discipline. Your future peace depends on your discipline. Because emotionally weak men create unstable lives, but disciplined men create stability, protection. Leadership, security, that is what masculinity truly is, not domination, not arrogance, responsibility. The ability to carry pressure without collapsing, the ability to lead during uncertainty, the ability to stay calm while others panic, the ability to sacrifice comfort for something greater, that is strength. And the world desperately needs stronger men again. Men with integrity, men with discipline, men with emotional control, men who keep promises, men who lead by example, men who do not run from responsibility, because weak men create chaos, strong men create order. Weak men create excuses, strong men create solutions. Weak men seek comfort endlessly, strong men seek purpose endlessly, and purpose gives life. Meaning that emptiness many men feel today comes from lack of purpose. A distracted man feels empty. A lazy man feels empty. A man addicted to pleasure feels empty, because pleasure without purpose destroys the soul slowly. Temporary pleasure, permanent emptiness. That is the trap, and millions of men are trapped inside it right now, scrolling endlessly, watching endlessly, escaping endlessly, avoiding real life, avoiding responsibility, avoiding growth, avoiding discomfort. While their potential slowly dies, do not become that man. Do not waste your life chasing comfort. Comfort never made legends. Comfort never built warriors. Comfort never changed the world. Everything meaningful requires sacrifice. Every meaningful achievement costs something: time, energy, discipline, comfort, sleep, convenience. That is the price, and strong men pay it willingly, because they understand the pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts forever. And regret is one of the heaviest emotions a man can carry, because regret does not scream immediately. It whispers slowly over time, late at night, when everything becomes quiet, when distractions disappear, when reality finally speaks. That is, when regret appears not as noise but as truth. The truth that you could have become more, the truth that you wasted years, the truth that fear controlled your decisions. The truth that comfort stole your future, and many men spend their entire lives running from that truth. They stay busy, stay distracted, stay entertained, because silence forces honesty, and honesty terrifies weak men, because honesty demands accountability. A man cannot change his life until he stops lying to himself. That is the first battle, self-honesty, looking at yourself clearly, without excuses, without denial, without blaming others. Most men avoid this. Completely. They blame society, blame women, blame family, blame circumstances, blame luck, while refusing to confront themselves. But strong men ask difficult questions. Am I disciplined? Am I reliable? Am I focused? Am I emotionally stable? Am I becoming stronger? Those questions matter, because self-awareness creates transformation, and transformation begins internally, before money changes, before status changes, before results change. The mindset must change first. Everything external follows, internal discipline. That is why emotional weakness destroys a man from the inside. First his mindset weakens, then his habits weaken, then his standards weaken, then his future weakens. Everything collapses slowly. not overnight, slowly. That is how destruction happens. One lazy day becomes a habit. One emotional decision becomes a pattern. One excuse becomes teasers. Identity and eventually weakness feels normal. That is the real danger when dysfunction becomes comfortable, when procrastination becomes lifestyle, when distraction becomes routine, when laziness becomes personality, when emotional instability becomes identity. At that point, many men can change, but listen carefully. A man can rebuild himself at any moment. The moment he chooses responsibility, everything can change. Not instantly, but gradually, day by day, choice by choice, habit by habit. That is how powerful men are built, not through magic, through repetition, and repetition requires patience. Something emotionally weak people lack. Weak men want immediate results, immediate success, immediate validation, immediate rewards, but real growth is slow, painfully slow sometimes. And that is why many quit, because discipline feels unrewarded in the beginning. Nobody applauds your early morning. Nobody celebrates your sacrifices immediately. Nobody notices your silent self-control. At first it feels invisible, but invisible work creates visible results. Later, that is how life works. The roots grow underground before the tree appears above ground. And too many men quit during the underground season. They stop too early, they give up too fast, they abandon growth because results feel delayed. But delayed does not mean denied. Keep building, keep training, keep improving, keep disciplining yourself, because eventually the results arrive suddenly, and people will think it happened overnight. They journey. We'll never see the years of discipline behind it, the lonely mornings, the painful sacrifices, the emotional battles, the silent consistency. They only see the outcome, but outcomes are earned privately first. That is why private discipline matters. Who you are alone matters more than who you pretend to. Publicly, character is revealed in private, when nobody is watching, when nobody is judging, when nobody is applauding. That is where integrity is tested. Weak men need external pressure to behave correctly. Strong men maintain standards internally, even alone, even unnoticed, even unrewarded. Because discipline becomes identity eventually. At first, discipline feels forced. Later, it feels natural. That is the transformation. A weak man says, I have to do this. A disciplined man says, this is who I am. Identity changes behavior permanently. That is why changing habits alone is not enough. You must change self-image too. You must stop seeing yourself as weak, stop seeing yourself as lazy, stop seeing yourself as emotional, stop seeing yourself as incapable, because identity shapes actions and actions shape destiny. You become what you repeatedly believe about yourself. That is why mentally weak men sabotage themselves constantly. They speak weakness into existence. I can't focus, I'm unlucky, I'm broken, I'll never change. And eventually their actions follow those beliefs. But disciplined men speak differently, not with fantasy, with responsibility. I will improve, I will adapt, we will adapt. I become stronger, I will stay disciplined. That mindset changes behavior, and behavior changes life. Never underestimate the power of internal dialogue. The conversation inside your mind shapes your future. If your mind constantly attacks you, you lose energy before life even begins. Each day that is mentally strong men guard their thoughts carefully. Not every thought deserves attention. Not every emotion deserves obedience. Not every fear deserves belief. You must learn mental discipline, the ability to observe emotions without becoming controlled by them. That is maturity. Feeling anger with becoming destructive, feeling fear without quitting, feeling sadness without surrendering, feeling pressure without collapsing. That emotional control separates men from boys. Boys react impulsively. Men respond intentionally. Boys seek pleasure immediately. Men think long-term. Boys avoid accountability. Embrace responsibility. That difference changes destinies, and understand this deeply. Responsibility is not punishment. It is privilege. Responsibility gives life meaning. A man with responsibility walks differently, thinks differently, moves differently, because purpose sharpens a man. Without purpose, men without purpose drift into distraction, drift into addiction, drift into weakness. Purpose gives direction to suffering, and suffering without direction feels unbearable. That is why some men collapse under pressure. They suffer without meaning, but disciplined men attach suffering to purpose. The pain becomes fuel. Becomes training, the sacrifice becomes investment. That perspective changes everything, because life will always contain suffering. Always. Nobody escapes hardship. Not rich people, not powerful people, not successful people. Everybody suffers eventually. The difference is how men respond. Suffering, weak men become victims, strong men become forged by it. Pressure either crushes you or builds you, and often the deciding factor is mindset. That is why your mind must become stronger than your emotions. Your emotions are temporary, whether your principles must become permanent foundations. Days you will feel motivated, some days you will feel empty, some days confident, some days uncertain, some days powerful, some days exhausted. That is normal. Emotions fluctuate, but disciplined men continue regardless. That consistency creates stability, and stability creates success. Emotionally unstable men destroy opportunities constantly. They overreact, overshare, overthink, overfeel, and eventually sabotage themselves, because emotional instability creates unpredictable behavior. Nobody trusts unpredictable men. Not businesses, not relationships, not leadership positions. Trust is built. Consistency requires discipline. Everything returns to discipline. Always. Your health depends on discipline. Your finances depend on discipline. Your mindset depends on discipline. Your future depends on discipline. And yet most people spend their lives avoiding it. Start aggressively, then disappear completely because emotion fades. But disciplined men build systems, routines, standards, non-negotiables. That is why they continue progressing long after motivation disappears. And understand something important: you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. That truth explains many failures. People dream about success while maintaining destructive routines that never works. Your habits always expose your priorities. Always. If a man says he wants greatness, but wastes every night distracted, he does not truly want greatness. If a man says that he wants peace, but feeds chaos daily, he does not truly want peace. Actions reveal truth, not words. Weak men love words. Strong men respect action. Anybody can talk about discipline, few actually live it. Because living disciplined requires sacrifice constantly. You sacrifice comfort, temporary pleasure, distractions, ego, excuses. That sacrifice creates strength, and strength changes how you experience life. A disciplined man experiences life differently. Pressure does not break him as easily. Criticism does not destroy him as easily. Rejection does not collapse him as easily, because discipline hardens the thaw. Mind and mental toughness is priceless, especially in modern society, where most people are emotionally fragile. One negative comment destroys them. One setback ruins their confidence. One difficult season breaks their identity, because they built identity on emotions instead of. Dangerous principles create stability. Emotions create instability when left uncontrolled. That is why disciplined men become calm. Not because life becomes easier, but because they become stronger internally. Strength changes perspective. What once felt overwhelming now feels manageable. What once caused panic now becomes training. What once caused emotional collapse now creates focus. That transformation is possible for every man, but most never commit long enough to experience it. They quit during discomfort, and discomfort is where growth begins. Nobody grows inside comfort zones. Comfort maintains. Discomfort transforms. That is why training your body matters too. Physical discipline teaches mental discipline. When you train consistently, even when tired, even when unmotivated, even when life feels heavy, you build mental endurance. You teach yourself, I can continue despite discomfort. That lesson applies everywhere in life, in business, relationships, leadership, purpose. Everything. A man who cannot control his body usually struggles to control his mind too. That is why disciplined routines matter deeply. Wake up with intention, train your body, control your consumption, guard your attention, manage. So your emotions stay focused on purpose. Those habits compound into strength, and strength creates freedom. Weak men believe freedom means doing whatever they feel like doing. That is false freedom. That is slavery to impulse. Real freedom comes from self-control. The ability to say, no to yourself. The ability to resist temptation, the ability to delay gratification, the ability to stay focused despite distraction, that is freedom. Because once you master yourself, nobody can easily control you anymore. Not trends, not opinions, not pressure, not temptation, not fear. That independence creates power. And that powerful men move differently. They are less reactive, less desperate, less needy, because emotional dependence disappears. Many men today are emotionally dependent on validation, dependent on approval, dependent on relationships to feel valuable. That creates weakness. A man must learn to stand alone, emotionally not isolated from people, but emotionally grounded within himself. That changes everything. Because once a man stops needing constant validation, he becomes dangerous in the best way. Now decisions become intentional. Now standards become stronger. Now self-respect increases. Now desperation disappears. Desperation destroys judgment. Especially in relationships, many men lose themselves chasing people, begging for attention, tolerating disrespect, abandoning purpose, destroying discipline, all because they fear loneliness. But loneliness is not the enemy. Lack of identity is the enemy. A man without purpose fears being alone. A man with purpose uses solitude for growth. There is power in solitude, because solitude reveals truth without noise, without distraction, without performance. You finally meet yourself honestly. That experience can either transform you or terrify you, depending on your level of self-respect. That is why building yourself matters first, before chasing status, before chasing relationships, before chasing external success. Build yourself internally, build discipline, build emotional control, build standards, build integrity. Build integrity, because external success without internal strength eventually collapses. Always. You see it constantly. Successful people destroying themselves, talented people wasting potential, powerful people losing everything. Why? Because they build success before building character. Character sustains success. With character, success becomes self-destruction. That is why the foundation matters more than appearance. A weak foundation eventually cracks under pressure, and life applies pressure to everyone. Eventually, that pressure reveals truth, not words, not image, truth. Who are you really under pressure? Who are you? When life becomes painful, who are you? When nobody supports you, who are you? When motivation disappears, that is your real character, and character determines destiny. Not luck, not talent alone. Character, because character shapes decisions, and decisions shape outcomes. Weak character creates destructive decisions. Strong character creates wise decisions over time. Those decisions create completely different lives. That is why discipline is one of the greatest forms of self-respect. When you stay disciplined, you prove to yourself that your future matters. You prove that your goals matter. You prove that your life has value, and every disciplined action strengthens identity. You begin trusting yourself again. That trust creates confidence, real confidence, not fake confidence performed online. Real confidence built through evidence that you can rely on yourself, that you can stay focused, that you can endure pressure, that you can remain calm during chaos, that you can continue through discomfort. That confidence becomes unshakable over time, because it is earned internally, not borrowed externally. And hear this clearly: the world tests men, constantly tests patience, tests focus, tests integrity, tests emotional control. Every day contains tests, small tests. How you react to stress, how you respond to disrespect, how you manage temptation, how you use free time, how you handle loneliness, how you behave when nobody watches. Those moments matter, because character is built in small moments, repeatedly. Not grand speeches, not dramatic declarations, daily choices, quiet choices, repeated choices. That is how men become powerful, slowly, intentionally, relentlessly, one disciplined day at a time. That is how powerful men are created, not overnight, not through luck, not through shortcuts, through repetition, through sacrifice, through emotional control, through years of refusing to surrender. And if you remember nothing else from this message, remember this: your life changes the moment you stop negotiating with weakness, the moment excuses end. Growth begins the moment comfort stops controlling you. Power begins the moment discipline becomes identity. Transformation begins. Most men spend their entire lives waiting to feel ready, waiting for confidence, waiting for motivation, waiting for the perfect opportunity. But powerful men move before they feel ready. Because they understand action creates clarity, not overthinking, not fear, not endless preparation movement. That is why disciplined men keep rising while emotional men stay stuck. One acts, the other hesitates, one adapts, the other complains, one grows stronger through pressure, the other collapses under pressure, and eventually their lives reflect those choices. Listen carefully. Nobody can save a man who refuses to discipline himself. Advice will not save him. Motivation will not save him. Potential will not save him. Only self-discipline can save him, because discipline closes the gap between who you are and who you could become. Without discipline, potential dies unnoticed, dreams die quietly, years disappear meaninglessly, and regret becomes permanent. Do not let that become your story. You were not born to stay weak. You were not born to live distracted. You were not born to waste your mind. Waste your mind. Waste your energy. Waste your future. There is greatness inside disciplined men, but greatness demands responsibility. It demands sacrifice. It demands emotional maturity, and most importantly, it demands consistency, not temporary intensity. Consistency, the ability to continue when emotions disappear, the ability to stay focused while others get distracted, the ability to stay disciplined while others seek comfort. That is what separates leaders from followers, warriors from victims, builders from dreamers. And understand this deeply: your future self is watching you right now, watching your habits, watching your soul. Warriors from followers, warriors, discipline, watching your excuses, watching your decisions. Every action is creating the man you will become tomorrow. So ask yourself honestly, are your daily actions creating strength or creating weakness? Because your future will reflect those choices perfectly. Life does not lie. Results do not lie. Your goal does not lie. Your habits always tell the truth. If you want a stronger life, become a stronger man. Mentally stronger, emotionally stronger, spiritually stronger, physically stronger, because weak men cannot carry heavy responsibilities, and life becomes heavier as you grow. More pressure, more responsibility, more sacrifice, more leadership. That is why you must become stronger now before life forces you to. Do not fear pressure. Pressure reveals greatness. Do not fear struggle. Struggle builds resilience. Do not fear discipline. Creates freedom. Everything you want is hiding behind the work you avoid, behind thoughts. Discomfort you resist, behind the discipline you delay. Face it, attack it, master it, and never forget this: calm is power, control is power, discipline is power. A man who controls his emotions controls his future. A man who controls his habits controls his destiny. A man who masters himself becomes unstoppable, not because life becomes easy, but because he becomes stronger than his excuses, stronger than distractions, stronger than fear, stronger than temporary emotions. That is real masculinity, that is real strength. And the world desperately needs more men like that. Men who lead with discipline, who move with purpose, men who stay calm under pressure, men who protect instead of destroy, men who build instead of complain, men who take responsibility instead of making excuses. Become that man starting now, not tomorrow, not next week. Now, wake up with purpose. Train your mind, train your body, guards, guards your focus, protect your peace, master your emotions, and build a life that commands respect silently, because real power never needs to announce itself. It is seen in discipline, seen in consistency, seen in self-control, seen in results. Years from now, people will either say, he had potential, or they will, he became extraordinary. The decision is being made by your actions today. So stop feeding weakness, stop entertaining excuses, stop waiting for motivation, and become the man your future depends on. Because in the end, the strongest men are not the loudest. They are the most disciplined, the most controlled, the most focused, the most resilient, and those men change the world.